The Justin Robert Young podcast is brought to you in part by The Contender, the game of presidential debate. Head on over to thecontender.us where you will find the game. Man, listen, I mean, what else can I say about this game? You can play with a bunch of people every single Friday and Saturday. We're just inundated on the Twitter and the Facebook of people having a good time. Boing Boing says it's great. The Daily Dot says it's great. Fast Company, Geek Dad, and so much more. Head on over there. Click on the big button. It says buy the game. Or head over to Amazon. Check it out there if you got the Prime. Thecontender.us. And by viewers like you, head on over to patreon.com/JuRY if you want to support not only this program, but also we got the politics program. I'm doing so much content here for you guys. I went ahead and did a 3-hour live stream of the last presidential debate. Why? Because this number right here, $551 per podcast, which is really per week, is changing my life. We got 405 patrons. It'd be amazing to see it at 420. So if you want to head on over there and check it out, then please go ahead and do it right now. That is patreon.com/JuRY. And thank you so much to everybody that has already taken their time to support good independent podcasting. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and start the show.
Ugly ain't the half, look at you. Well, you got blue teeth and you only got 2 teeth, but I kinda like to see you smile. And it appears that over the years you've turned into a big old steaming pile. And she said, yeah, I know I ain't no supermodel. I said, you ain't a hand model, baby, but that's fine. You're pretty ugly by most people's standards, but you're alright by mine.
Good God damn. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, let me welcome you. Please come in, take a seat, have a good time, make yourself at home. This is the Justin Robert Young podcast. Oh! Man, you might not have recognized me. For everybody watching, either live here on diamondclub.tv or on my YouTube, youtube.com/Justin Robert Young, I'm rocking one of my favorite pieces of clothing ever. It is my Tauntaun hoodie. Now, you might think, man, people are out here running for president trying to ask for the nation to give them the safety and security that they require to continue to be a thriving national power. And you know, why haven't they hit on this amazing concept of wearing a hoodie that is also in the shape of a tauntaun from Empire Strikes Back? You might be saying to yourself, Justin, right now as we speak, it's Hollywood's greatest night. The Oscars are being delivered while you're talking. And yet, what is happening there in Hollywood, California, where all the stars are out, pales in comparison to what is going on visually right now here on diamondclub.tv. Because, like, this, number one, check out this inner lining. It's guts, right? You thought it smelled bad on the outside. which I'm sure that is a little troubling. That like that's like tied to the fact that this beast is supposed to be smelly. But yeah, no, this thing's amazing. Fun story. I went down to Los Angeles to do a Go game and to go to Star Wars Celebration. This is last spring. And that's where I got this here Tauntaun hoodie. And I immediately went to the airport to fly back to San Francisco. And while I was on that plane, I spilled not one, but 2 glasses of wine on it. Which I think is almost fitting, considering the fate of the Tauntaun in the film, The Empire Strikes Back. Spoilers, it doesn't end well. So I always have just this entire ensemble that I'm working right now, right, has always just said to me, unrestrained joy. Like, I was so excited to wear it that, like a child, I immediately ruined it by way of spilling wine on myself. So, listen, I've got a glass of wine right now. I have my Tauntaun hoodie on, but I think we're going to survive. And I thank you for joining me, because this is going to be a very interesting version of the show. I'm coming up on a birthday. We're going to have some birthday chat. We are going to talk about depression, and we are going to talk about Kanye West, because we go immediately to an email here from Gabe. Gabe writes, so I was watching the live stream of Kanye's Yeezus Season 3, The Life of Pablo premiere, because I wanted to peep the album. While listening, I found some lyrics that were, well, misogynistic and shouldn't come as a surprise. For example, here's a few lines from the track Famous. I feel like me and Taylor might still have sex. Why? I made that bitch famous. For all the girls that got dick from Kanye West. If you see him in the streets, give him Kanye's best. Why? They mad I ain't famous. We return to Gabe. Gabe writes, I've been listening to hip-hop since I was a kid, and I know you're a huge hip-hop fan yourself, but my question is, can we enjoy something like hip-hop and rap even though it's problematic, i.e. misogynistic and homophobic? Well, I mean, that's a complicated question. And I have always been able to internally draw a line between art and artist. Because just because, an art's a funny thing. Because just because art is realistic doesn't necessarily mean that it is only to be looked at as if it were an absolute reflection of somebody personally. Now, obviously, there's lines to that. Somebody who makes, child pornography, obviously, you have a line there. On one end, you have somebody who's a horrible monster, and on the literal 2 degrees other side of that line, you have Larry Clark. And you're like, well, damn, man, this is a really good indie movie. But, like, holy crap, you're really lingering on that girl's naked body, and I'm pretty sure that she's 18, because I don't know why you would be allowed to make a movie if she wasn't, but at the same time she's playing somebody 14, and she sure looks like a 14-year-old, and I am made uncomfortable about it. So when it comes to Kanye West or rap music in general, you have to assume, or I assume at least, that I am listening to somebody either A, make fantasy music. Gangster rap is fantasy music. The line between 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Trying and Goodfellas, to me, is non-existent. Now, there is a difference in that 50 Cent has more of a profit motive for you to believe everything that he says on his albums, because he is his own economic engine, whereas Martin Scorsese has no interest in necessarily making you believe that he is an actual gangster because he can just replace his actors in the movies. But I do think that sometimes we get a little bit too wrapped up in this, especially with people like Kanye West. Part of me just really goes back to professional wrestling, that maybe we're just all getting worked. Maybe this is just when professional wrestling fans, and God damn it if it ain't the most passionate people on the message boards or on blogs that assume that somebody's performance is their personality. That because they react a certain way in their art, that they are a certain way in their life. Or that the things that they do reflect them personally. And therefore, we can make judgments on them personally. So ultimately, Gabe, your initial question kind of comes down to two different things. Do we believe that Kanye West is really who he portrays himself to be in his music? For which I think you can very easily say, no, there's a separation between art and artist. Or at least there should be. And then B, does it make us bad people to enjoy bad ideas in our entertainment? To which I think is a slam dunk no. We enjoy crime movies. We enjoy horror movies. We enjoy murder, deception, infidelity, violence, both personal and emotional. In all of it and everything that we do. We love it. I love it. I can't get enough. I seek it out. I seek out movies that are gritty. I seek out violence that feels realistic, that makes me feel good or bad, titillated, conflicted. These are all elements that make us richer people, that explore elements of our own soul. Now, you could probably get into a whole nother conversation about how much art influences life, or how much, and this is my least favorite argument of all time, how much we are affecting people who don't know better. Oh my God, does this argument drive me up a wall? Oh my God, it's the worst. Oh, no. It's okay that you like it. You're smart. The real problem is dumb people. They really believe it. Oh, God, that frustrates me. It frustrates me to no end. Because it is just paternalism at its worst. And I'm going to say paternalism for women and men because I'll use the sexist double standard to slander paternalism as worse than maternalism. Oh, no. Justin, you do a podcast. You talk about these kind of things. You understand that if Kanye West has a misogynistic line, that it is no different than if somebody has sex on screen, that they really love that person, right? But it's the dumb people. Oh, yeah, no. We got to protect them. Which I always hate for two reasons. Because let's even assume that that's true. Let's even assume that we do have to shape the minds of the dummies of the world, right? Let's assume we have to do that. Why are we restricting speech? Why are we restricting art instead of teaching critical thinking? Why wouldn't we share knowledge as opposed to restricting expression? Why wouldn't we say, yeah, if somebody believes that or thinks that it is an accurate reflection of society, something that they want to take charge in doing, which is a specious argument to prove, why don't we take steps to dispel that? Instead of saying, no, 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 it is the absence of these things, the absence of complicated thoughts, the absence of our beautiful, multifaceted artistic expression, much of which is there to challenge. Or that we would have a better world if these ideas weren't out there because we need to play to the lowest common denominator. No, 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 no. Now, this is a very, very long way that I've come to defend Kanye West calling Taylor Swift somebody so hungry for fame that she's willing to fuck Kanye West. Like, that's a long way for me to defend Yeezy. But I will end this by saying I still haven't listened to that album because I'm just not going to get Tidal. Knock it off with that. Put it on Apple Music. We're going to talk about depression coming up next. So somebody here in the chat room has posted Kanye's Medici's, a GoFundMe page, wherein, of course, Kanye West has famously said he has $53 million in debt. You can see here he now has at least 7,000 of that, or at least Jeremy Piat of Minneapolis, Minnesota, has $7,135. I guess we are going to assume that he is going to pass that on to Ye. So I don't know what this what this is, but periodically, whenever you do things on the internet, well, here, let me start here. I love the internet. My love affair with the internet has given me everything that I've ever had in life. It's given me a career. It's given me or at least made the introduction to my wife. It's been everything that I've ever wanted creatively. It has given me separation from my peers. It has given me many of my best friends. So understand that when I say this with love. I say this not with love, with adoration, with admiration, with just a full open heart, that I say that the internet is the lonely people's economy. Now, this might not always be the case. We might not always be in a position where people on the internet are lonely. Because the more we have the internet, the more that it will just be a way that we can connect with each other. But that is not my generation. Dare I say it to the people listening to me, just by the moment in time in which I am recording it, I will say it is not your generation. That you, like me, are lonely people or associate loneliness with the internet. Now again, you might be tempted to say, Justin, are you talking bad about the internet? Hell no. I'm just trying to understand the neighborhood in which I live in. Now, why do I say that the internet's the lonely people's economy? Well, because at some point, many of us, if not all of us, became dissatisfied with those that we were around physically. We had something we wanted to talk about. We had some mutual interest that we could not find a partner. We wanted to indulge ourselves on some flight of fancy for which the meat space could not provide. Now, I'm sure you tried. I'm sure you went out there and you talked to your friends and you tried to bring up something, and you were like, hey, man, what about this? I want to share this interest with you. And maybe they were game and maybe they tried and maybe they went with you to some version of it. And ultimately, they probably just sort of rolled their eyes. Or more specifically, you just kind of felt like they were losing interest and changing the subject too fast. And so where did you go? You went to the internet. You found podcasts. You found blogs. You found message boards. Hell, you found social networks that allowed you to sort your conversation and respond to people that were talking about what you wanted to talk about in real time. It's what makes communities like this, the Diamond Club, something special. Because it's a gathering of peers on our own terms. But I said this little segment was about depression, and here's where this story kind of takes a little bit of a turn for the worse. Because usually when people talk about this, well, they just end here. And it's a big, warm, fuzzy hug. That hell, man, the internet kind of gave us everything. And it did. But what people don't want to talk about is that it never really took away the bad stuff either. It's like we were all gifted an amazing mansion. That doesn't mean that we didn't have the debts that we worried about before this tremendous gift was given to us. So I don't know what was happening and over the last few weeks, there's just been a lot of pressure that I've put upon myself. A lot of it is being self-employed. A lot of it is having elements that haven't moved as fast in life as I've wanted. A lot of it is me indulging the weaknesses of my character. Specifically this. Stop me if you heard this one. Stop me if this one sounds familiar. I have a tendency to look around to the people that are closest to me and start to see demons in the shadows. Start to wonder if a long pause in conversation or a turn of phrase that comes off a little too harsh inside my ears is really an indication that they think poorly of me or don't want anything to do with me, or when I'm being especially indulgent in my own self-pity, that they'd like to cut off all contact from me or view me as a failure. Now, I can be self-diagnosing on this. And truth be told, I think I'm probably going to be pretty close. I was sick. This is a new way for me to live. And putting pressure on myself is something I've always done. But what I found myself doing is not dealing with my problems. I found myself hiding. I found myself locking into a shutdown mentality where I just sit around and fuck around on the internet and then get mad at myself for fucking around on the internet. It was a perfect little circle of hate, a perfect little circle of not letting myself be better. It was a little fun diversion into depression. Because again, we are people of the internet. And we are not just defined by what we do on the internet. I believe that we are a sub-social strata of society. And it is my belief that to people that seek out internet communities, depression is something that we don't talk about. That we often wait until we get too wrapped up in it. And then we explode. And then we do like what I was talking about and assume that everybody now judges us. Not realizing, here's the screwed up part, is that everybody around us knows exactly what we're going through. But no. Depression has a need to feel like it is unique. To feel like it is something that could not be understood. That we have an original sin, a unique black mark. But it ain't true. And it was through self-reflection that I kind of realized a few elements that helped me sort of put things into context. And ultimately, it leads me back here with the knowledge of the fact that, yes, this is a one mic show and it is just me talking and y'all listening. But I know I got my chat room down here. I know I got y'all emailing me at justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. And I know that every other time that I've bared my soul on this show, it has been responded to in the way that I could only hope. Because again, we are people of the internet. We have found that community. We have found those people. And ultimately, the more that we share with each other, the stronger that we will be. And that's my fun little story of depression for the week. We'll be right back with all of your emails right here. You can email the show, justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. Again, justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. Hey, also a real quick plug, a couple plugs that we want to get into before we begin with our emails. So the Contender, 50 games in 50 states. We want to hold a public game of the Contender in every single state in this union. We already got Iowa. We already got New Hampshire. But you listening, if you already have the Contender, you could help bring this game to your state. Head to thecontender.us. There's a big, fat pop-up. You're going to click on that pop-up. You're going to fill out our form. And you, my friend, can help us bring this nationwide goal one state closer to completion. Also, if you want to see me, and Brian Brushwood do a live version of Night Attack, and you will be at the Austin South by Southwest Festival, Saturday at 2 p.m. at the Brew Exchange. There is a live night attack. Also, that Wednesday, I'll be having my own live contender public game. That will be at a coffee shop to be named later, but it'll be something. Also, if you're in the Bay Area, come out to Hood Slam. I'll be at Hood Slam. It'll be the day before my birthday. It'll be a fun time. Arno Core is going to be there. Last time I went to a Hood Slam show with Arno Core, it was one of the most rad nights ever. Let's go ahead. Those are the plugs. Let's get into our emails. JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com. Let's go ahead and start. We're going to bring this waiter, creepy manager thing to a close here. Scale writes, tips for wait staff. Get rid of them and raise the minimum wage. Minimum wage over here in the glorious socialist pinko commie People's Republic of Australia is $17.29. Time and a half on Saturdays, double time on Sundays, with an extra 25% of that on top of it for casual staff, because casuals don't get holidays and sick days. But if you have to do both, lose tips and minimum wage, or have a management-controlled nightmare comes true, worker unions aren't a bad idea. Now, I love Scale. Scale writes in all the time, but there is always something that bothers me whenever people point to Australia as a model for which to solve American problems. Let's just do ourselves a little thing. Man, we're just going to go ahead live here on the internet, and we're going to look at something. Okay. Population of Australia. All right, so that's 23 million. 23.13 million. That is a estimate from 2013. Let's just say population of California, 38 million. Hold on, wait a minute. So you go back 23.13 million. California, the state of California, 38.8 million. Huh. In fact, Texas has 26.96 million. Whenever anybody's like, look at this country that did this. Like, I ain't saying they're bad ideas. I'm saying, let's just try it in a state. We'll see how it works. See if it works in that state. That's why we have a federalist system wherein the states can do kind of what they want. It's a really rad idea. Why? Because we got states as big as goddamn countries. That's why. America's an unwieldy, crazy-ass, massive patchwork of lunacy. We just got so many people in so many different areas with so many different stratas and climates and cultures. Really, the only thing that we love about everything is that we got together on a big enough team that we can just do whatever the hell we want. We're really into America and not much else about each other. So, like, I'm down with this idea. I'm just saying, like, whenever, y'all in the international community got to understand that, like, doing something on a federal level is just always going to be problematic. Cole writes, with restaurant managers being creeps such a pervasive thing, there might be a reason for it. And I'm going to propose the reason. Tipping. Serving is a highly attractive job, mostly because of tips. Servers make vastly more money than other unskilled jobs such as retail. Because I got friends who serve, I also know that cute girls make the best tips of the lot. So when you're a 16-year-old girl looking for your first job, it's natural to want to be a server. The only problem is you have no restaurant experience, so you're hired on as a hostess. Hosts are a non-tipped position in most restaurants that I'm aware of. So you, the attractive 16-year-old, takes a job as a hostess in hopes that being promoted to the position of server is where you will make, quote, them fat tips, unquote. As you pointed out, managers are creeps and not to be trusted, and yet, lo and behold, it's these managers who are in charge of promoting these young hostesses to servers. Tips are the bait at the end of these pedophiles' metaphorical fishing pole. Cole, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for writing. But I have to say, this is a lot of victim blaming. Like, yeah. Cute girls get good tips. But, like, I was never a cute girl, contrary to popular belief. And I did really well on tips because I did good at the job. It was a merit-based system. Now, that's not to say that it's a fair system. It's not to say that it's a level system. There are plenty of inherent biases that come into it. However, like this anti-tipping thing just makes people crazy. People just get so fixated on it that they even blame these poor, innocent young women that are taken advantage of by these creepo restaurant managers. Alex had one really crazy story that he wanted to read. In fact, he sent in like 7 of them. But again, man, I can't read. This can't be that like Alex had some crazy stories in the restaurant industry podcast. Although there were some really crazy stories. I love them. Although many of them kind of revolve around something that comes up here in this email. Let me read it now. My greatest experience in restaurant history was given to me by a self-described African queen named James. This was at McCormick and Schmick's in Ashford, Dunwoody, and for anyone who lives in the central perimeter area, that's outside of Atlanta. James was the person you'd see a lot in restaurants as the manager without a title. But for those in the know, this is someone who has all the capabilities of a manager, usually due to seniority, but for whom the company is unwilling to commit a salary because why pay more for what you do already? This is an absolute truth. There's always one server or something that's just been there forever that usually does the schedule and moderates all the little issues amongst the wait staff. Basically 90% of what any kind of restaurant manager should be doing, but you delegate it to somebody who's just there all the time. At this time in my life, I was engaged to my now wife and had been for 2 years. This was something I yelled from the rooftops because, as fraught with lechery and infidelity as the restaurant industry is, I had to bring up my fiance about once or twice a day just to remind the women and gay men that I was, in fact, not available. My, haven't you done well? I returned to the email. Nevertheless, the occasional ass grab and waist rub or even crotch grab was pretty typical. This much was especially true for James. He would comment on the size of my bulge, grab my ass or crotch. But hey, my table's got the best drink service when he was bartending, and I had unlimited mint lemonades for life. I don't drink. One Valentine's Day, James's friend brought in a gallon of water, quote unquote, because it was really vodka, in order to help for the rest of the employees to get through the 13-hour day. Valentine's Day is restaurant Armageddon. That's true. About halfway through the day, I'm frantically setting up soups on the line when I feel a hand on my ass. James is behind me. Not only that, he puts his lips right to my ears and says, this is a direct, exact quote, Alex, you're not married yet. Let me take you into the back room and S your D until you're numb. What do you say? And then he said no. But Alex wrote me like 4 stories about gay dudes coming on to him. Like, I believe all these stories are true. But at some point, there's that old like saying, like, you know, you walk around, you run into an asshole. That's probably the asshole's fault. You run into 2 assholes. Maybe that's just a bad day for you. You wake up and run into 3 assholes. Maybe you're the asshole. Like, this dude wrote in with like 3 gay stories. And I'm not saying that Alex is gay. I'm saying that, like, this might be a Tom Bodette with Motel 6 situation that you might be leaving the light on for gay attention. My wife just said that I'm victim blaming. Now listen, like if they're coming on to you, like then that's fine, right? But like I'm just saying that there might be an element of pheromone that might just be there. Here's all I'll say. 90% of everybody that I've ever known, and I've known many people that have been like, man, I don't know why all these gay people keep coming up to me saying I'm gay. Turned out to be gay. Now, like, I'm not saying you're gay. I'm saying that if you went back and talked to some of those people that I know now, and said, hey, remember when you were wondering why all these gay people were talking to you when you were not out of the closet? Why do you think that was now? In fact, I should ask some of these people. I don't want to name names, but I should ask some of these people. Maybe they would have a good opinion on that. All right. We got a new segment idea. It comes from Flying Pop-Tart Cat. I just sexted with someone in the French military while he was on duty. The subject line of this email is basically the whole story. However, this gave me a great idea for a new segment. Everyone sends in the most interesting people they've had sexual exchanges with online. This could be a gold mine. Send in your emails, justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. Again, JuRY in the subject line. Come on, JuRY in the subject line is the only way I can sort this shit out. On the subject of awkward breakups, John writes, my girlfriend of 4 months broke up with me on our first night having sex. We were watching TV in the room after having sex. That night we were literally sleeping together when I decided, what the hell, why not one last go round? We ended up having sex 6 more times that night before going our separate ways. Smiley face. What? Listen, man, this ain't the bragging hour. Like, you need some pain in these emails. Can't just write in and said, yo, I'm awesome. I had sex 6 times with a lady. Corey writes in about porn racism. I've got this problem. It's been bothering me. I'm not racist. Really, I'm not. That's never the way that you need to start these emails or any kind of discussion on racism. You never start a conversation about racism pleading about how you're not a racist. It intimates that you have a very troubling inner dialogue. We continue. I was raised to live my life by the mantra that all people are equal regardless of race. Again, this is a terrible way to start a conversation about race. I've had close friends of all races. Okay, Jesus, this is just terrible. I've never given a second thought to some of the interracial couples I know. Well, now we know you're thinking about All right, I'm just going to go. Now, here's the problem. I am totally racist when it comes to porn and porn only. Specifically, black guys. I can be happily doing my thing and then suddenly there's a video of a black guy on a white woman and I can't click it away fast enough and then I feel bad. What does this say about me? Literally the least troubling part of this email is you expressing your sexual preferences. Everything else is terrible in this email. This whole lead up about racism and interracial couples, that's terrible. You should be ashamed of that you wanted to say that. Like the fact that you don't like black guys in your sexual videos, man, they're things you're jerking off to. The whole idea is having very particular niches in which you scratch. Like, you probably wouldn't want to run around saying, oh, I love women getting slapped in the face. If you watched videos where women got slapped in the face. But that's fine. Enjoy what you want. Like, it didn't necessarily say anything about you. Again, you going full defense at the beginning of a conversation on race, way more troubling than not being into blacks on blondes. And finally, Jeff writes in, related to your discussion that raising children in cold climates is considered child abuse, hence another thing that should be illegal. I'm a Canuck, so I'm used to the cold. I live near the Detroit area on the safe side of the border and like to ski. So I'm driving up to Quebec, to Mount Tremblant. Canada likes to keep things safe, so most gas stations have removed the lever on the pumps that lock the handle down so you can hold it down the whole time while pumping gas. It should be illegal to do this when it's negative 20 outside, and I have to stand in a snowstorm holding the handle down to fill my tank. Maybe it was the fault of leaving a nice warm car without gloves, but I almost had my hand get stuck to the cold metal handle while doing this. This is the thing that Canada has to change. I'm going to get frostbite before I even reach the mountain. I would like to imagine, Jeff, that you got right back in your car and immediately started typing out this email. And that you're like, listen, there's one person that needs to hear about the fact that my fingers are really cold. And it's Justin Robert Young on the Justin Robert Young podcast. Your hands might be frozen little fish sticks, Jeff, but you've warmed the cockles of my heart. Ladies and gentlemen, that about wraps it up for this edition of the show. If you would like to write us, you can do so at justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. You can find this podcast on Stitcher, iTunes, or some other stuff. Do us a favor, rate, review, and subscribe to the show on any method in which you deem appropriate. My Twitter and Instagram are Justin R. Young. You can buy The Contender at thecontender.us or on Amazon, really whatever you want. If you bought it on Amazon or on thecontender.us, consider reviewing it on Amazon. A little review goes a long way. And of course, you can hashtag join the conversation at diamondclub.reddit.com. Thank you all so much for joining us. This has been an amazing edition of the show, and it has been my pleasure to share yet another year of my life with you all. If you find yourself in the throes of depression, if you find yourself being troubled by the misogynistic lyrics of rap musicians everywhere, if you find yourself explaining why you're not racist in a conversation about racism, well, ladies and gentlemen, remember that my name is Justin Robert Young, and I am whispering from my heart to yours to please don't.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.